The quote that has really stuck with me this year is actually I say word of the year, but it's more of a phrase. It is well with my soul.
Welcome to the Other 99% podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Duck, a coffee-loving direct sales enthusiast who's obsessed with a good digital system. Come join me for a realistic look into the world of direct sales. We'll explore inspiring perspectives, learn about unique business tips, and celebrate success stories that often go untold. Because on the other 99%, every seller matters. Hey everyone, it is me, Lisa, and welcome back to another episode of the Other 99%. I'm here today with our co-host Susan Larimer and our special guest Marcia. And Marcia, I just want you to jump in and tell the listeners sort of like who you are, what you do, and all that stuff. Basically, share as much as you want.
Okay, well, I'm Marcia Hopper, and I live in Texas, South Texas. I'm halfway between Austin and Houston. We're in College Station, which is a big Texas A&M college town. We moved here 2 years ago when our first grandbaby was born. And we moved here actually from our RV. And we lived and traveled in our RV for 7.5 years. And full time, we hit all 50 states and spent the years traveling and working. So when we first hit the road, it was 2016. And our daughter had gotten married, moved here to Texas, and our son had moved out. And we decided we don't need the big house. We don't need all the stuff. We could downsize. My husband was actually working remotely at the time, long before COVID, long before the days of people working remotely, but he was. And he got permission from his company to work from the road. And I was like, let's do it. When will we have another chance? And everybody says, I want to do that someday. And we were like, someday may or may not come. So we have the opportunity. So we decided to take the chance. I did have to quit my job in order to go because mine was not remote. And we hit the road in 2016. And about 6 months in, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And we quickly went up and parked in their driveway, and we spent her last 4 months there parked in the driveway and just able to spend that time with them. And it was one of those God things that we had the ability, because if we had been working back in Kansas City, my husband had a job that we both had jobs. It was like, do we go this weekend? Do we go next weekend? When do we go? And we were just able to really spend the last 4.5 months with her. And it was during that time that I wasn't working, other than I was doing the cleaning and cooking and spending time with her. And I ran across a video online. I still to this day don't know where it was, probably Facebook, Instagram, somewhere. And it was a product, nail polish strips that I had used years before. They were Sally Hansen brand, and I'd loved them. And then I couldn't find them anymore. I was looking in all the stores and they were just gone. And I saw this video. I was like, this looks like what I used to use. I'm going to order some. And so I started looking on the website. I was like, oh, it's one of those things where you have to order from a person. I don't know anybody that sells this. Um, Actually, when I first Googled it, I looked, what is Color Street? And all the hits were like 2 weeks old or less. And I was like, oh, this doesn't even sound legit. So I just kind of set it aside. I was like, I don't know, scam. So I found it, came across my feed again a few weeks later. And so I was like, I want to try these, but I don't know anybody that's selling it. So I started kind of looking on Instagram, looking on YouTube, and I found a girl on YouTube that had done a couple of videos. And I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. So I reached out to her, and she was telling me about the product, but she was also right away, she asked me about the business. And I was like, I've never done anything like that. I don't know. But my husband was like, well, why not? You buy the kit, you get 10 sets. If you like them, great. If you don't, fine. And it's like, maybe it's something you can do from the road while we're traveling. So I ordered the kit, and it exploded. It took off. When the kit came in the mail, my sister-in-law happened to be over at the house that night, and I'm opening it and looking at it. She goes, "That's really cool. I want one." And I was like, "Is it that
First
easy?
customer.
Really?"
Yeah.
So I'd never done direct sales. I had no idea what I was doing. But we started together. She and I started, we did a couple of vendor events there in town while I was there. And I just started talking about it online because I was trying to do a lot of online things in order to stay in touch with my friends and family as we were traveling. And so it did grow and it grew quite a bit. And it was something I loved being able to do from the road.
So did you literally get into Color Street when it was like 2 weeks old or like
It was 1 month old.
1 month?
Wow.
Yeah, 1 month.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction. I was like, I don't even know how to do this, but I did. I'm really thankful that God led me to the girl I did because she had videos, and I was like, I don't know anybody. I need somebody that's gonna be able to help me figure this out remotely.
Hmm.
And she was doing videos on YouTube.
Just out of curiosity, is that girl still there? Did you outrank her? Like how I always
Yeah,
get interested in that, right? It's
right.
like,
Yes. No, she ended up being one of the top, probably in the top three, four of the company.
okay.
Um, Ironically, I picked super well.
Hmm.
Didn't know anything
Yeah.
about it, but I
Well, and
just,
as soon as you showed an interest, she asked if you wanted to join the business.
she did.
She didn't treat you as a customer day one. She tr
Mhm.
treated you like a teammate.
Right. From day one,
Yeah.
she was like, let me tell you about the business opportunity, not just here's my link, go ahead and place an order. And yeah, we became friends right away. And we actually are still working together at a different company now.
Ah.
Okay, well, tell us about that transition. I mean, it's 2025. So many of our friends have had one business close
Yeah,
unexpectedly, and some of them give up on direct sales. Some of them are like, you know what, I'm done. I can't go through that heartbreak again.
right.
But other people like you are like, hey, maybe I really like direct sales. I want to find something else. So tell us maybe how you were feeling during that transition, and then
Mhm.
what led you to the next company and what the next company is.
Yeah, so it was it January that we got word from Color Street that they were making a major, major comp plan change. And I know your podcast is, the other 99%. I had made it into that 1%. I
Mhm.
was making a good income with Color Street, but this was going to make a huge, huge change. And it wasn't part of it was the income loss, but it over the last several years, the income had declined anyway. So I wasn't as upset about the income as I was losing my team and that community
Hmm.
that we had built, that the chats, the Zooms, the trips that we would all have conference together, and losing that is what I was probably most sad about. And so when I heard that a couple of the girls that I had worked with were moving over to Clio Color, I was like, I'm in. I never used it. I signed up with Color Street. I had never used it other than using it years before when it
Hmm.
was Sally Hansen. But I was like, you know what? I want the community. So I'm going to move. And if it works out, fine. And if it doesn't work out, oh well, I'm I'll be either out or I'll be finding something else.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and made the move right away with, several others. And that was end of February. And yeah, it was scary, but it was one of those things I thought I'd rather have potential for something good than be stuck where I am.
Was that one of those situations where the company approached you guys, or did you guys just have enough and you were just like, we need to find
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. It was kind of a big group of people who were like, okay, we don't, we don't trust what they've told us. We don't trust them anymore. And was like, it's not fun anymore. It was like, we're just going to move together and go somewhere where we can just be excited again
Hmm.
and have fun. Because
Yeah.
if I'm not having fun doing it, then I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That probably was a very scary move, even with the changes. I mean, like the
Yeah.
security of the customers and everything that you bought,
And
right?
I was super scared about my customer base. And, I was like, how are they going to feel? It's still nail product, but it is different. And I have been pleasantly surprised at how many of my customers have made the move with me. They're like, if you like it, we'll try it at least. And I have 2 or 3 customers that have tried and they're like, no, I really do. And I've just given them a name of somebody who's still at Color Street. So I still have friends over there. So I'll give you names of people if that's what you want. But most of my customers are like, oh yeah, if you're going, I'm going. So it's more about the people in the community.
Yeah. That says a lot about your customer care and
Yeah.
the relationships that you have built, that they trust you. They're like, if Marcia's doing it, I know I want to do it too.
Yeah. And it's something I've heard is true, but I didn't believe it until I
Mhm.
saw it happen.
Hmm. So let me kind of
Yeah.
recap a little bit because I'm just I want to clarify.
Yeah.
So you had no desire to do direct sales. You found yourself in this mobile RV life. You had a need, you wanted something on your nails. This fell into your lap. I'll try it.
Oh,
And now all of a sudden, it's a huge part of your life and you can't
yeah.
imagine life without
Right.
it. Like, how does that
Exactly.
happen?
I know. Yeah, it does. It just, God puts things in your life and in and out at different times. You're like, wow, all these people that I am so close to and good friends with now that I never would have met,
Mhm.
any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just curious. Is Clio Color? Because I mean, I've heard of it like very,
Uh-huh.
very vaguely, but is it in Canada, just in the US? What is
It
it?
is just in the US right now. They just hit their 1 year mark. So I have to remember that they are still brand new.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The goal is to be in Canada within the next year-ish, but it's at this point it's just the US and it's they have 2 different kinds of nail products. So they have LED gel strips that are kind of like the Color Street strips, but then you harden them with an LED light.
Okay.
And then they also have press-ons, which I did not think. I thought I'll like the strips because I'm used to that. I have fallen in love with the press-ons.
Okay, we need to talk
I'm
about this quick because I
I
was talking to
have
Lisa before we started. I have a 19-year-old daughter. She spends a lot of money getting her
right.
nails done twice a month. So sell me on this product. Like, because I saw one of your videos, you had a, there it is. I wish we had video. She's showing us. So I saw one of your videos. You had a day 1, a day 10, a day 20, and a day 30 of your nails and how, I mean, really, they're growing out because your nails grow. But other
But
than that, they weren't chipped. They looked fresh. And you were
and I
opening up a soda can. I'm like,
oh yeah,
what? What is
yes. I've
happening?
never had one pop off. Um, the girl that I went with, like her daughter plays volleyball, and she's never had one pop off in playing volleyball. Like, but they're not glued on. They have self-adhesive, and so you peel the back off, peel the back, and then just stick it on.
So it's literally a press on. You don't have to cure the press-ons or
Yeah,
anything like
no,
that.
just
Okay.
peel and stick. But it has, I don't know if they can even tell in the video, but there's a little bit of give to it, which
That's
is
a really good length too. She doesn't
there's
want long, like
right,
that's a
yeah.
nice
Yeah,
length.
yeah, you can do long, they have short, they have round, they have square. Um, but the self-adhesive, because it has a give, we call it a shock absorber. So when you hit it on something, it doesn't pop off. Like if it was glued on and you
Yeah.
bump it,
Yeah.
it gives away and it hurts. But they just give a little bit and yeah, I'm shocked. I'm like, nope, I'm sold. This is
All
pretty
right.
easy to
Well,
wear.
consider me your next customer because they've got to be cheaper than what we're spending now.
Yeah, they're like $15.
My gosh.
And living in a college town,
Oh,
doing vendor events here,
yeah.
the college
Gold
age.
mine.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
They are loving the press-ons.
Yes.
So you started your Clio nails after you started living back in a traditional home, correct?
I did.
Okay,
Yes.
so tell us what was the differences that you found with building your business? And I mean, it might be a little different because Color Street was so new when you joined, but what was the difference between building your business in an RV towards
Mhm.
building your business in like a one
Yeah.
stationary?
So I mean, in an RV, everything had to be online. Everything had to be virtual. I could do small vendor events, some campgrounds would do a Saturday morning pop-up garage sale kind of thing. And I could do that once in a while. And I did do a couple of RV rallies, like a big booth at a big RV rally. But for the most part, it was all online. So I had to get good at scheduling my posts. I had to schedule out my emails, schedule out my texts, schedule out all my posts because my days were very sporadic. It was like, okay, it's a traveling day. Will I have internet or not? I don't even know, So I had to have things planned, and I had to be really careful about scheduling a team meeting on Zoom and make sure, like, okay, I'm just going to schedule it for a night that I know we're going to be in a place where we have good internet. Um, but a lot of just recording things and posting them later. But then when we moved here to College Station, I was like, I really want to focus on getting a presence here in town and doing a lot of vendor events and really working on having local customers. So it's been a big shift for me. Yes, I still do a lot online, but I also have a presence here in town where people kind of know.
And have you started building your team, like growing your team in the area, or are you still building broadly?
Both. Yeah, both. I am working more on local though. Right now, the majority of my team is still scattered.
Hmm.
Several that were Color Street and several friends that I have. I've had several friends who were like, I tried the Color Street, I didn't really like it, but I love this. And so I have a couple of new team members
Okay.
that way that were just people I knew from before.
That's nice that that inventory doesn't take up much space too. I mean, it was perfect for an RV.
Oh, right. Yeah. I had like a shoebox,
Yeah.
under the
Yeah.
bed.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Just enough to do a small event, but I didn't carry a lot of inventory, which is
Yeah.
why I needed a company that would ship directly to the customer,
Hmm.
which I think most companies probably do now.
Yeah, I love that part of the business. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, direct to your door, best customer service that you could definitely offer
Mhm.
anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if any companies out there don't do that now, but surely they all do.
Hmm.
Yeah. Any
Okay.
specific systems that you use, platforms, apps?
I love Project Podcast.
Hmm.
As far as staying in touch with my customers, I used um, Color Street did have an email system in their back office that I could use to email customers. But at the time, early on, I started using Mad Mimi, but then they
Mm,
went
I
by the
remember that.
wayside.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was using the virtual office from Color Street, and now I'm just using the Oh My Hi, because I'm like, no, all my customers are in there on the website. So I use that. So I can schedule out my emails. I can schedule out texts to customers. I try to keep my customers separate. Are they local or are they out of the area? So if I'm doing a vendor event, I can send out a text to my local customers and say, hey, on Saturday, I'm going to be at such and such event. Stop by.
And did you find that many of your systems were easily transferable over to your new business? Like, did you take a lot of them and just readjust them, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use pretty much the same thing, um, all the same systems.
Yeah, that just goes to like I always tell people, direct sales is direct sales. Really, you and once you know the ins and outs of it, it's just apply and tweak your systems,
Mhm.
your parties, your whatever to the current product that you're selling. So I love that you bring that up because a lot of people think that, making when you're making that big switch from company to company, it's like, oh my God, I have to start from scratch. You don't really.
Mhm.
Like you
No,
even said, like a lot of your customers followed you, right? It's that little shout out
right. It
saying,
was just, being open and honest with them, sending out an email, making a post and just saying, here's what's happened in my life. And this is the change that I'm making. I would love for you to come try it if you're interested. If not, no hard feelings. Like I want you to get the best service for whatever product you want.
yeah,
And most of them were like, yeah, let me try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, knowing you from the Modern Direct Seller Academy, I do have a little bit of in behind the scenes because I know that you are very organized in terms of, what you need to do on specific days because I know I've got content and
Yep.
tips from you before. So I want you to sort of tell the average direct seller something that like a strategy that they would use or some sort of tool or mindset shift that you do on a weekly basis
Mhm.
that helps you stay consistent in your business.
Yeah. Like I'm always trying to think consistent, but not constant.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, I have to not sit down at my desk and work all day. I know I didn't have that ability before. And I'm like, no, I have other things that I want to do and so I don't want to sit here at my desk all day long. So I have to keep a planner and like, all right, here are the meetings that I have, here are the appointments that I have this week. And then I do schedule out my Mondays. I sit down and I schedule out all of my social media posts. Um, I keep going back and forth between SendShare, using it and not using it. But the native scheduler really does work for me. So at the moment, that's what I'm using. But I like, okay, all my posts are scheduled out. I do a mani of the day post. I schedule that out for a month at a time. I'll just sit
Hmm.
down and copy and paste. I'm like, okay, June, all of those are done. And my interactive posts that I do every morning, I do those about a week at a time. And then trying to get at least one email out every week. So I have a list of email ideas of topics. And then if there's something else that came up, I'm like, all right, I'll just shift. But trying to get that one email written and scheduled so that even if something happened and I was in the hospital or we went on vacation or something and I'm MIA for a week, there were some posts and there was an email that still
Hmm.
went out.
Yeah. And did you
So,
find that you change up these things seasonally, like, or do you just sort of tweak in and add little like, oh, it's Mother's Day or oh, it's like, 4th
yeah,
of July.
yeah, I just kind of go with like, okay, June. Sometimes I'll pick a theme. Do I want to focus on one theme all month? Question of the day, I'll do that. Or in in November, maybe I'll do a thankful third or thankful day. Like, what am I thankful for today? And I'll do the same theme for the whole month. And other times it's really random. It's like,
And
what do I feel like posting about this week?
Yeah.
do you use a tool for, I know you said since share you're in and out, and I'm totally with you. It's like I'm all native scheduler too. But do you use a tool to contain your content or do you just go and sit there on Facebook?
Yeah, I just use folders on my computer.
Okay.
And I keep interactive posts and then I'll go find a bunch and I'll download them and be like, these are ones that I like, but I haven't used yet. So I kind of keep them in one folder and then I'm like, okay, I have used these. And I might sometimes I'll go back. Like I'm lazy today and I don't feel like going and coming up with new stuff. I'm gonna go back and find that folder from 3 years ago
Hmm.
and pull some things out of it because realistically, very few, if anybody's gonna notice that, oh, she used that 3 years ago in May.
So true. Half
Yeah,
the people wouldn't notice if you reuse something from a month ago.
No.
right, right. So, and they're going to scroll through and they may or may not have even seen it last time.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
so true.
So, what's one piece of advice? Actually, you're going to give two because one piece of advice you would give to someone who maybe is in an RV or someone who moves a lot. We have those military families, they are moving
sure.
every year, sometimes a couple of times a year. So, one piece of advice you would give to a direct seller who is mobile or moves a lot, and one piece of advice you would give to a direct seller who maybe is new to the industry, but they live in one place.
Okay. So, somebody who's moving a lot is batching and scheduling. It's
Mhm.
huge. When you do have time, downtime, or you just set aside a day or half a day and just like batch stuff out because if you're moving a lot, you don't know what tomorrow is going to be necessarily. Um, it was huge for me.
Yeah, and
And
like you said, you
sometimes
don't
it
know if
was
you're gonna have Wi-Fi every day. So
right.
take
We
advantage of the
did.
Wi-Fi days.
There were times when We had AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. We had hotspots for all three because different parts of the country, one would work and the others didn't. So, we tried, but there were times when none of them would work. So
Mm,
you just have to, and you just have to be flexible with it. Like, okay, I do not have Wi-Fi today. Don't even think about it and worry about it. Just shut it all down and go do something. Go for
yeah.
a walk, go for a hike.
A little bit of freedom to that, isn't there?
It
Like, I don't
was
have a choice. I have to unplug
exactly.
today. I would love
I have to unplug.
that.
We're going to be in this campground for the next 3 days, and I'm going to just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the business will still be there when I go back.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's nothing. I think I heard was somebody else on your podcast recently said something about, maybe it was you, Susan, that nobody's going to die if they don't get their nails
That's right.
tonight. Like there's
Nobody's going to
not a,
die.
yeah, yeah, there's no true nail emergency, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If so, go to the ER.
Yeah.
Don't call.
Yes.
Yeah. So for somebody new, um, don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed with all the shiny things because there's so many things and options like, oh, I could be doing that and I could be doing that and I could be and I should be doing that. And I'm like, my husband always says, quit shitting on yourself. Like, like I should do this and I should do reels and I should do a podcast and I should do emails and I should do, and I'm like, no, just what can I handle? Like I can handle Facebook and Instagram and a website and email. That's it. Like, and I don't, you just kind of pick your things.
Yeah. Now there has to be a time because I know we all face it where you just want to just throw in the gloves, quit, walk away, you're done.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that? And what advice would you give to somebody who's having that issue right now or that, thinking about that right now?
Yeah. And for the quitting, for me, it was, will I miss this worse than the pain that I'm going through? And I was like, I will miss these people too much to give up right now. Yeah, maybe I need to like take a step back. I need to take a couple weeks and just regroup. That's fine. But it's like, no, the people, my customers, my team members, the other people that I'm working with, like, I'll miss it too much to just completely quit.
Yeah.
One thing we talk about a lot is, when you think about all of the skills that you've learned from being a direct sales consultant, it's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So, can you think about maybe some skills, maybe it's tech skills or relationship skills that you've learned that have helped you in other parts of your life?
Be more extroverted because I'm not an extrovert.
Mm,
I am an introvert at heart. I like those days at the campground where I couldn't do anything. I like that, but it has helped me be more willing to go up and talk to somebody that I don't know, willing to comment on somebody's nails when I see them, or just strike up a conversation and say, hey, how are you today? And not just, I was just the one who'd stand in the back and just watch, you know.
that sounds like more confidence.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely has helped with that.
Okay, this has to be probably my favorite question that we ask all the guests on the
Yeah.
podcast. And that is, can you share either a quote or a piece of advice that you think that every direct seller needs to hear?
The quote that has really stuck with me this year is actually I say word of the year, but it's more of a phrase. It is well with my soul. Like
Mm.
that has been my focus this year. And I chose it long before I even knew this was going to be a huge change. Um, and it was like, I don't want my life to be chaotic. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I want it to just be well. And I want God to be in it. I just want peace. And so it was like when it started getting chaotic, I was like, oh, okay, is this really where I'm supposed to be? And I was like, no, it's not. So I made a shift and now it's peaceful and it's happy again.
Yeah, I love that. I had a similar experience. It was, during 2020, things were falling apart. We lost some loved ones, and the phrase
Yeah.
just be sad,
Yeah.
you know, just be where you need to be at that time. And I love that, I love, I love what you chose. That's great. Okay, so what does success look to like to you in this season? You're in a home again. You're with a
Hmm.
new company.
Hmm.
How would you say, okay, today was a good day? Like I feel like I'm having success with my business or my life, or how would you define success?
It is different now. I feel having been in that higher level of leadership and making a big shift to not being in that anymore. And I have to be okay with that for now, knowing that there's potential and someday it may come again and someday it may not. But for me, I might, if I get a new customer, 1 or 2 new customers every month, I'm like, that's great. That's success. There are new people finding out about it and new people enjoying the product, then I'm happy. And something I started doing this year, a girl in our small group at church asked me to go to the gym with her. There was a new gym that opened up in January. So we have been going every day, Monday through Friday,
Good for you.
since 1st of January.
Wow.
And so that's been a big focus for this year. I'm like, health is a big focus and
Mhm.
going and spending an hour and a half to 2 hours every day at the gym. But I'm like, that's success. I did it.
Mhm. That's
So
huge.
Love it.
it has been huge this year.
Well, this will be a successful month for you because you're going to gain at least one new customer. I will be
It's
making a
June 2nd
purchase for my
and the month
daughter.
is, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
The last thing we need to know is where do we find you?
MarciaHopper.com. But it's Marcia, like Marcia Brady. Because I get called Marcia all the time.
That's so funny. I'll give away our little secret because we know Marcia, Marcia, and we know Marcy all spelled the same way.
Right.
And it's like we have to
Marcia,
remember it's Marcia, Marcia, Marcia.
Marcia. I'm like, yep, that's it.
All right. I will make sure that I link the proper spelling and the website in the show notes so that people can find you, just in case they do mix up the spelling. But
Right.
I want to thank you so much for being a guest and joining us
Thanks for
on
having me.
this week's episode. And we hope that everybody enjoyed hearing your story. And we'll see everyone again next week on another episode of The Other 99%. Take care, everyone. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would take a minute to rate and then review the podcast, I would absolutely love it. And if you know someone who really needs to hear this podcast, please feel free to share it with them. More listeners, the better. And if you know someone who would like to be a guest on the podcast, or you yourself would like to be a guest, be sure to check the link in the show notes or visit lisaduck.com and click Be a Guest. We'll talk to you soon.